Amen. That's what we're doing. We're raising the veil, the false sense of separation between ourselves and our Creator, between ourselves and all the love in the universe, between ourselves and each other. We're raising that veil. We have to have faith, and we have to put that faith into action in order to raise the veil of separation. Because once we do it for ourselves, we're really doing it for everyone. And that's really, to me, what keeps me going. It reminds me of the importance of spiritual work, of leading a spiritual lifestyle, is that we're doing it not just for ourselves, but for everyone. It's so important to remember that, and it keeps you going. In those times of doubt, or you have a crisis of faith, it keeps you going. I want to talk about faith today. I want to make it the focus of our message. And it just so happens that it's the daily word. How about that? I love when that happens. That's amazing. The wonderful thing is that no matter what my need, I have to begin with faith. I have to look within. We've spent so much time, identifying the problems we have. Instead of looking at them as opportunities, we see them as obstacles. And then, what do? Oh God, oh universe, please help me overcome this obstacle. Send me this, send me that, give me more money, give me more of this and more of that. We forget that it's an opportunity. It's not an obstacle at all. It's a gift. If we shift our mind, if we change our perception, we can see it as a gift rather than a curse. So faith, according to Charles Fillmore, is using that type of power, a perceiving power of the mind. You have the power to perceive differently, to reframe it, to shift your consciousness. Charles Fillmore says that faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the power to shape substance. This is from the Revealing Word. So in this perspective, faith is considered a spiritual power. It's not just something that we wait passively for an outside force to take care of everything. No, it's a power that we employ to manifest what we need to fulfill our soul's purpose. It's not just what we want and desire and form. It's fulfilling your soul's purpose. That's why unity is so challenging for some folks, because your perception and your perspective is just, I need to fulfill my needs. And I've been reading this great book. I'm not going to do it this week, but I'm going to do a series. I'm going to get a little spoiler alert here. I'm going to do a series on prosperity, because we've been focusing on prosperity, but in some regards, we've been focusing in the wrong direction. Instead of going within, we've been going out to try to fill the problem, fill the problem with more problems. No, to find a solution to our financial, what did they call it, insufficiency. But what we really have is a spiritual insufficiency. We're not spending enough of our time going within. We're not spending enough of our time focusing on the power that we have to shape substance. And we're asking for something out there to give us what we think we need, instead of manifesting it like we always do from the power within. Because in truth, there is nothing out there. It's all a reflection of you. Your world is 100% a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. That's why it's so important to get to know yourself, to know who you are. So here's my spoiler alert. I'm going to be doing a series on prosperity. It's a book by Charles Fillmore. Spiritual Economics. This is from Eric Butterworth. These are my 3 favorite books these days on prosperity. And one by Jim Rosemergy, and he's a great Unity minister from Florida, retired. And it's called Even Mystics Have Bills to Pay. This is my new favorite. It's a great book. So I'm going to be sharing some of this in the next 3 weeks with you guys. And we're going to be going within and finding the power of faith within us and putting that into action. So today what I want to do is give you the recipe for putting faith into action in your life. And I want you to remember this recipe today. It's very simple. Because faith is how we shape the unlimited divine substance into that which we need to fulfill the calling of our soul. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not seen. Now, we've had this teaching for over 2,000 years, but we still think faith is something that we believe in an outside force. It's the substance of those things that we hope for. So the substance is already there. Whatever we need or desire to fulfill our soul's purpose, it's already here. So that's the first thing. The critical ingredient in this spiritual recipe is that it's the power of love that you put into it. We have this wonderful thing hanging in our kitchen. It's a sculpture of a jar, and on the jar it says, "Love is the best ingredient." And every night when we pray, when we say grace for our meal, we give thanks, not just for the meal and raise the vibration of the food to fulfill the needs of our body, but we give thanks for all the love with which it was prepared. And for everyone who had a hand in bringing that food to our table, all the farmers, the truckers, the people who store the seeds, the people who make the exchange with you at the store, the people who put it on the shelves in the store. Everyone that had a hand in bringing that substance into your life. And so we need to give thanks for all of that. We need to have gratitude in everything. We tend to think that what I have, like this book, this is my book. This is mine, right? And now it's mine, it's not yours. And so, where did it come from? Somebody had to think of it, somebody had to write it, somebody had to print it, somebody had to design it, somebody had to sell it to you, somebody had to put it on the shelf in the bookstore. Everything that we have, every single thing, 100% is from God and is God. And we need to start treating it that way. This is not just a book, this is God in action in my mind. But who's going to put it into action? Do you see? Yeah, I'm going to put it into action. So everything you have is already God's stuff. It's already substance, divine substance. But it's up to you by the power, perceiving power, and the power to shape substance. It's up to you to shape it, to manifest it. What do you really want? What is really your heart's desire and your soul's purpose? We don't ask those things. We just go around trying to fix problems every day, trying to satisfy our ego needs. And guess what? We wake up the next day, we have the same problem and the same needs. You haven't satisfied anything. You wake up one day, you're 70, you're 80, you're 90, you're 100 years old, and you're still trying to satisfy your needs and everyone else's. And you're running around doing that, and you're missing out on the fact that it's all God. It's all God's substance available right here and right now. We spent one day, all day yesterday, with Bob and Patricia, just experiencing God in everything that we see, in everything that we feel, in everything that we say, and everything that we smell and taste and touch and hear. It's easy on Cape Cod. You go to some of our special places, it makes it easier. But we went to this place on a Saturday and nobody was there. It was amazing. The beautiful views of the Atlantic Ocean and walking through the White Cedar Swamp together. And just making each moment a meditation. That's why I'm so grateful to see you guys each and every week, because I know this guy here makes his life a meditation. So if he's coming here, we must be doing something right. If we weren't resonating with him, he wouldn't be here. I know him. He would be someplace that resonated with his soul. And so it's up to us to put this faith into action. And what I want to do is give you a recipe for faith. Are you ready for this? A recipe is a set of instructions for making something from various ingredients. So I'm going to give you the ingredients so that we can create a stronger sense of faith in action. It is also a procedure for doing or attaining something, as in a recipe for success. Now, I know a lot of you like to say that's a recipe for disaster. You know, but you could just as easily create a recipe for success. You just need the right ingredients. Too many of you are really focused on the recipe for disaster. And you see it. You turn on the TV and you got the recipe right there. For sure. Right? But we don't need that recipe anymore. That recipe is making me sick. It truly is. If you're ingesting that recipe, you are living a life of disaster. But if you ingest a new recipe, a recipe for faith in action, then you will manifest everything you need for your highest good to unfold the purpose of your soul and your greatest happiness, greater happiness than you ever imagined. So, what are the ingredients? What's the key ingredients? It's pretty simple. Activating the power of faith. The first ingredient, we already said it, is substance. Substance of the things hoped for. Okay, we hope for peace. We hope for prosperity, love, togetherness, cooperation. We hope for all these things, all these wonderful things. It's already here. The substance is already here. It exists within you. You're the one that has to make it manifest through the power of your mind, perceiving with the Christ mind. Substance is the first ingredient. Everything that we need and desire is already here in potential. The spiritual substance is here. It's all around us. So what do we need? Another ingredient is evidence of that substance. Because it's unseen, right? It's the evidence of things not seen. We have to bring it into evidence in our lives. We have to bring it into a form that I can recognize and into a form you can recognize. Right relationships, good relationships, prosperity, health, transformation of mind. You know, when Lily and I watch a movie or something like that, we always ask, is there any transformation in it? If there's no transformation, it's not a good movie. If the story doesn't go from one apparent condition to amazing realization in another apparent condition or greater reality, has no value to me. It's just another story that came from the recipe of disaster. It has to have transformation. So evidence is going to be the evidence of your transformation. The evidence of the change that you have undergone and are now demonstrating. You have to be a witness to the spiritual substance. That's what brings about the evidence. You being the witness that spirit is reality, that spirit has touched your life, that spirit has healed you and changed you and transformed your mind. You're the evidence of that. And as soon as you accept that, everyone who needs to hear it from you starts looking for you. And you'll find them everywhere. They'll just start talking to you. And they'll be asking you questions and they'll be looking for advice and guidance. And you'll all of a sudden realize, I'm a spiritual teacher. How did that happen? Wow. Well, keep it up, guys. I've told my brother this, and I had to tell myself this yesterday. You didn't come this far just to come this far. Keep going. You didn't come this far to stop here. There's so much more to experience. Keep going. This is just the beginning. Keep going. Don't be satisfied with what you perceive now, because you have the perceiving power of the mind and the power to shape substance, which is what faith is. So what's the third ingredient? It's putting it into action. Once I have that evidence for myself, I can begin to confidently teach truth and demonstrate truth every moment of every day of my life, no matter what I'm being faced with. I do not have to play the game of separation again with anyone. I don't have to agree with your story. And in fact, you came to me because I'm somebody who's not going to agree with that story of disaster. I'm going to say, maybe this is an opportunity. I'm not going to go along with the same old story. Some people are going to tell that story to you for year after year after year. And unless you tell them, what's the opportunity here? What are you learning from it? Why is this in your life? And are you willing to learn the lesson now? They'll keep telling you that story. Are you willing to learn this lesson now? Are you willing to take this opportunity today and put it into action through faith? Faith actually is the action of the Christ mind. Accepting the Christ is in you and taking the action that is true. And then, of course, the most important thing is love. So you take these 4 ingredients, you have the recipe for faith. Faith in action. That's all you need. 4 simple ingredients. But each one is so powerful. You don't need a lot of other stuff. Don't try to fill it up with a lot of other spices and cook it too long and try to, don't do, that kind of stuff let too many cooks spoil the broth. You be in charge. You be the chef with this recipe in your own life. And put it to practice. It's so simple. And love is the most powerful ingredient. Love is the best ingredient. As we know in our kitchen, we also need to know that in our lives. Jesus said, "Beloved, let us love one another." Oh no, this is John. 1 John chapter 4. My favorite chapter in the whole New Testament. Let us love one another, for love is of God. Everyone who loves God is born of God and knows God, and he who does not love doesn't know God, because God is love. And what we say at Unity, God is love and only love. Don't put a lot of extra ingredients in that recipe. God is love and only love. That's all I need to know about God. Don't need to complicate it. We don't need complicated systems of theology. The complicated systems of theology are made for complicated people who've complicated their lives and need it to be undone. So they need a roadmap out of that deep hole of complication that they've gotten themselves into. But it's very simple if you read the Bible truly and deeply for the essential truths. God is love and only love. And when I live my life by love, I am giving the essential ingredient to the recipe for success in all things. That's the essential ingredient. It's the greatest ingredient. And it's a very simple recipe. It's one that I've seen work over and over and over again. It works in every single circumstance and situation. All I need to do is use these ingredients. And in fact, if you're pushed up against it, you'll find yourself doing it anyway. The universe will force you into that relationship. I'm going to tell you a really short story. I'm going to shorten the story because it's actually one of the most powerful things that ever happened to me, and it's a longer story than I'm going to tell you. But it's about the day I found my little friend Nathan in the woods. Do you guys remember this story? It was one of the first miracles of my life. See, some of these guys haven't heard it before. I was 19 years old, and I lived with a family, was my best friend at the time, and they had a young son less than 2 years old. And he went running off with his dog one day and never came back. He followed the dog away from home and disappeared. When I got home that night, it was about 10 o'clock at night, there were about 2,000 people searching for this little boy, and they couldn't find him. They had helicopters, and they had police and fire departments, and lots of people looking for him. And instead of going out immediately to look for him, I immediately went in within. And Spirit told me, you're the one who's going to find him. And immediately I started saying, why me? But the substance of this story is, no, you're the one who's going to find him. So I said, okay. I went inside and I gathered a few of the family together and we started to pray. Because I didn't know what else to do. I thought that was a good idea. So we prayed about it. And they all said, okay, you're the one who's going to find him. Get out there and find him. So I said, okay. I went outside in the dark and I said, okay, I'm going to go in the opposite direction from everybody else, which is usually a good plan in life anyway. So I went in the opposite direction of everyone else. I got a clear. I was praying to Jesus. At that time, he was my guide and my way shower until he showed me that Christ was within me. So I prayed to my brother Jesus, and he showed me in my third eye exactly where he was, in the roots of this tree, and he was sleeping there with his dog. He didn't have a jacket on, I remember that part, a short-sleeved shirt. And I started heading in that direction, sometimes walking with my eyes closed, looking at the vision of where he was. I wanted to see where he was. I needed to close my eyes. I didn't need a helicopter and searchlights and all that stuff. All I needed was the Christ within and the connection I had with this little boy. Because we were very close, I could feel his energy. And so the energy was still connected. There's no distance. Like there's in the song, between me and my God, there's no separation, no distance at all. So there was no distance between me and this little boy. Pretty soon, I felt like I was getting close, but I heard all these car horns beeping and people cheering and yelling. I could hear them say, we found him, we found him. And I ran all the way back, doubting myself, saying, you were wrong. You're not the one who's going to find him. They found him. They have all the searchlights and the helicopters and the police dogs and everything else. Who are you to think you're the one who's going to find him? So I run all the way back, and I find my friend Pam, who's probably watching today. I found them crying, saying, it was a hoax. They didn't find him. It was a pile of clothes they thought was him, but it wasn't. They didn't find anyone. So then I thought, all right, I have to get back out there. But just as before I was going to leave the house, the phone rang, and somebody said, it's for you. And this woman was yelling at me on the phone, saying, you're the one who's going to find him. She's like, I know it. I know it's you. Like, I know your energy. I know you're a spiritual person. She's like Patricia. She was telling me, my spiritual mother, you get out there and find him. Okay, thank you. Yes, Mom. So I went back out. Same process. Bing, right there in the third eye. I see the vision of where he is. I walked about a mile from the house, across the golf course, and I get to a place, and the voice says, turn here. I turn there. I walk into the woods, look down. I look down, there he is. Exactly how I saw him in my vision in my third eye. Now, what was happening there? What gave me the faith and what allowed me to put into action that faith was the substance that I could feel it. I could feel him. I could feel my connection with him. The evidence of it was the vision in my third eye. I had to take action. I had to go out, even if it looked like crazy action, like I had my eyes closed when I was walking, praying the whole time, lead me in the right direction. And I had to Put all the love I had into it. Because I loved him so much, I had to find him. It was mine to do. This is something big in unity. Find what's yours to do and do it. What is yours to do? If it's somebody else's, forget about it. But this is putting faith into action because I could connect with the divine substance of faith. I had evidence of it. I took action with love. If you're taking action out of anger, out of frustration, out of I need to do this or this, I've got to make this happen, it's not the recipe for success. We know what that's the recipe for. What I want to follow is the recipe for success. Taking action out of love in each and every circumstance. This is faith in action. I love you guys.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.